Let's bring in Ahmed Mitchell in Atlanta, Georgia. He's the National Deputy Executive Director of the Council on American-Islamic Relations. Thanks so much for speaking to us. So the UN says Israel is effectively breaking the law by not allowing in aid, and certainly not enough aid, we know, because Israel is, of course, seen as an occupying power. But would Tel Aviv view the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is now distributing food in the enclave, albeit very little, as a means of mitigating that legal responsibility?
What is happening is not new. Days after the October 7th attack, the Israeli defense minister said openly they were going to cut off all food, fuel, water, and electricity to everyone in Gaza because they were fighting, quote, human animals. So from the get, the Israeli government made it very clear they were going to commit a genocide of starvation against the Palestinian people. Now, there were pauses in that starvation campaign, but they resumed it back in March. And under intense pressure from not only the activists, but also increasingly Western nations, the Israeli government came with this ridiculous plan to allow mercenaries to distribute a trickle of aid, and they're hoping that will buy them more time to complete the genocide. This foundation is not a foundation. It is a trick. It's a game. It's designed to allow the genocide to continue. Aid is ready to go in via the authorized and established channels run by UNRWA, by the United Nations, by humanitarian groups, not mercenaries. All that has to happen is for Egypt and Israel to open up the blockades, open up the crossings, and let the aid trucks in, period.
And there are many solutions, as you say, to get the aid and the food to those who need it. Even UN experts are asking the General Assembly to allow peacekeepers to be deployed to Gaza to accompany humanitarian aid trucks. Could you see something like that actually happening and there be follow through, or would it just be something else that Israel would then block?
No, the Israeli government, again, has made it very clear they want to exterminate or expel every Palestinian in Gaza. Netanyahu is screaming it as loudly as he can to everyone who will listen. That is why they are not allowing aid to come into the territory. That's why they never allowed the mobile homes they promised to come into the territory. That's why they won't even let Palestinian militant groups agree to give up their control of Gaza, because Israel does not want this genocide to end. And so, no, there's no scenario in which UN peacekeepers can come in without the permission of the Israeli government. The Israeli government would just open fire on them, as it has done already in Lebanon. So this all comes down to the fact that the Israeli government has no intention of stopping the genocide unless it is forced to do so by the United States, by surrounding Muslim majority countries. They have no intention of stopping. And the best you're going to see is this trickle of aid that is not even a Band-Aid on a giant wound.
Edward, is that what it will all come down to? Pressure from the United States, pressure from the other countries in the region, because we are now seeing more world leaders speaking out about the dire humanitarian conditions, the children literally starving to death, more countries in the West condemning Israel's actions. But how much pressure does that actually put on Benjamin Netanyahu when he knows he still has the backing of the most powerful country, the United States?
No, that's absolutely true. Look, the European nations that are now criticizing Israel more forcefully should stop the criticism and take action. They should put sanctions on the Israeli government. That will help. The Muslim majority nations surrounding Israel need to take action, whether that's cutting off their airspace, demanding that the humanitarian aid get in, or there's going to be some sort of embargo on oil, things of that nature. But ultimately, it will come to President Trump himself to say that he is tired of sacrificing his presidency to the whims of Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu wants to go to war with Iran using American blood. He wants to continue committing a genocide with American weapons. President Trump is ultimately the one who has to stand up and say enough is enough. Let's get a permanent ceasefire, get all the hostages out, get the humanitarian aid in, and look at the future of a Gaza that is led by the Palestinian people. Until that happens, I don't think Netanyahu will willingly stop this genocide.
Ahmed Mitchell in Atlanta, Georgia. Good to get your thoughts. Thanks, as always, for your time.
Thank you.